welcome to the coffee table. I am Fizza Jamal and I'm joined here with Faisal Sherjan, and Dr. Nadeem Haque is also back from his travels. Welcome back, Dr. Nadeem Haque.
Thank you, Fizza. Always good to be back at the coffee table.
So what have you been up to besides lashing out at people on Twitter? Right, the poor DC of Rawalpindi.
At least let's welcome
that
him
I
back.
do every morning for an hour or two. Or
helps you digest your breakfast, is it?
In between, I was in Islamabad, presenting some things at a conference and also doing something for the government.
So what kind of conference?
This is a conference on a book that I've done. We'll discuss it at some point.
Okay, the book.
The book is on the university research system in Pakistan.
Excellent. Yeah, I saw some reference to it.
That's a very important thing to talk about.
Yeah. When is it coming
At
out?
some stage, it's come out. It's now about just final printing stage, should be out.
So did you know Doc is an author? Right.
No, he never told me. He's just always telling me about his grandkids. So how would I know?
Yeah, because you keep asking him and saying, are you always like this? How does your wife feel about it? So he fell back on his grandchildren.
Exactly.
Well, I cannot say much about myself, but he sure missed you while you were not here.
Yes.
Didn't you?
I did. And she kept saying...
And you just made it very plain that you did not. So, okay.
I mean, we had interesting people lined up,
of course.
You know, nobody can really replace you, can they?
Now, that's the talk I like. That's what I like.
Talking about people coming and going, you know, I've been in Lahore for like 2 months now already. And one thing I've noticed is that the traffic here is so systematic compared to Islamabad and Rawalpindi, especially Rawalpindi, because I've come from there right now.
Traffic is better than Islamabad.
And Rawalpindi especially.
No, Rawalpindi is something else. Did I tell you about the tweet that the DC...
Yeah, I know. That's what because that is the one that you actually hit him over the head.
Do you have the tweet, Fizza? Can you read it out?
I do.
Let me read it out, please? Because I think that tweet is very important. It shows something about the mindset.
So it's governance by tweet now, is it?
I think, well,
so
Trump has set the tone. What can we do?
He says that Murree Road has a huge parking and traffic problem. We had issued notices to all shopping center owners to vacate the basements or other places which were earmarked for parking as per their approved plan. And today the operation has started on Murree Road to get these parking spaces back. And I totally agree with him. Have you guys ever been on the Murree Road recently?
I haven't been there for 20 years now.
For 20 years?
Yeah.
How about you?
No, I haven't been there too. I go to Islamabad from Lahore, just take the Kashmir highway straight into Islamabad.
Yeah, that's how.
So please tell us what Murree Road is like now.
Well, let's say 3 months back, I was on Murree Road, and the traffic situation there is so crazy. Like now there's a metro running.
No, first of all, hang on. Let me go back to when I was on Murree Road.
20 years ago.
Murree Road was always a shopping sort of street, right? And then it became the main thoroughfare to Islamabad, leading on to the Islamabad Expressway. But Murree Road even then had a huge traffic problem. So how do you cope with it now?
Back then, did you have so many cars on the Murree Road,
Murree
breaking
Road
all the
choked.
traffic rules?
It was always choked.
It was a narrow road at that time. If I remember correctly, there were shops
it?
on one side, and the other side, you know, there was different kinds of buildings, installations, and stuff like that.
Okay.
Today there are shops on either
both
side.
sides.
You'll find mechanics, you'll find tailors, you'll find shopping plazas, you'll find bridal boutiques especially, and you'll find gold jewelry stores. Like everything is there. There's nothing defined that this is limited to this kind of business.
We go through this cycle of every 5, 7, 10 years where we go and widen a road, right? And we think that by widening it, we will alleviate the problem and, you know, it won't be there anymore. Or we'll allow people to encroach and be there for years and years, for decades. And then suddenly one day, we decide and say, we need to get rid of them, right? We go out and we bulldoze everything.
This is why I like what the DC said.
Yeah.
That he wants to enforce the law now.
Yeah.
But Fizza, I mean, you were telling me that Murree Road is now very crowded. It's slightly broader, but it's crowded.
Maybe it's a
What do you mean by crowded?
3-lane road now.
How crowded would it be?
Well, number one, since the obedience to traffic rules is close to zero here, that adds to the problem, and there's like so many cars, and on top of that, you have so many motorbikes because of a failed public transport system. Each house either has a car.
But I thought the metro ran through it too?
Yeah, but
so why do you say failed public transport system?
Who actually uses that? Like,
but they built the metro through it too?
Yeah, it goes on top, and when that was being constructed, it was a mess because there's also a residential area on the Murree Road.
So elevated sections, right? There's an obsession with elevated sections.
Yeah, we want 2 or 3 tier cities, right?
Yeah.
3-story, 4.
And then you have U-turns. You have U-turns on the Murree Road. So since nobody has respect for any lanes.
The word U-turn has taken on totally different meaning now.
So Faisal, now this seems to be very symptomatic of our cities.
Yeah.
We have U-turns on Jail Road,
Yeah.
Lahore.
Yeah.
We have U-turns everywhere, even DHA now.
Yeah.
Fine, that's symptomatic of us. And I don't say you taking a U-turn is bad. I do it every day. But more importantly, as you said, we widen streets all the time.
Yeah.
But has nobody heard of the fundamental theorem of widening streets?
What is that?
Looks like our town planners definitely haven't. You know? They don't realize. But the more you widen a road.
But the theorem is that
Yeah.
the wider you make the road, the more traffic you get.
Absolutely.
Exactly. You're inviting more cars on the road.
You never actually deal
You're
with the
fighting a
traffic
losing battle
congestion.
all the way.
Yeah.
It's like the battle of the bulge.
Yeah.
Like
So
Do you
you
think
can't
with
win it
every
beyond a
new
certain
government,
age.
there's a new town plan that's designed?
Yeah, long-term planning is obviously
no-
missing.
yeah.
So how do we compare with, let's say, other cities that are as big or as congested as our cities are? If you are to take our top 5 cities, starting with Karachi, then Lahore, then Pindi, Islamabad, Faisalabad, Hyderabad, and Multan.
Let's not forget now Lahore is bigger than New York. Karachi is way bigger than New York.
In terms of area
In
covered,
terms
Land
of population as well.
population as well.
Both population and area, Lahore and Karachi are huge,
Yeah.
and so are other cities. But
Yeah.
Lahore and Karachi are definitely bigger. Hyderabad maybe as much as London or
Have
something.
you been
and,
to
know.
Hyderabad? Have you experienced the traffic in Hyderabad recently?
I did about a year and a half ago.
How was that?
Pretty bad. But I think it's not just in a city in isolation. I think the real problem is how we are actually letting our cities right grow, right, because they're sprawling. So, and I think one of the reasons that you have so many cars and motorbikes and all is lack of public transport. But also the distances one has to
No,
travel.
excuse me, why is it lack of public transport? I mean, both of you raised the issue of public transport.
Yeah.
I object. Why should there be this pressure on the state to provide for you people?
All right. Let's.
I
say-
mean, why can't you keep talking
What
about
is this
innovation?
question?
Okay.
No,
No, yeah,
Faisal,
yeah,
you
yeah,
keep
yeah.
talking about innovation.
I do.
Why can't you innovate? Why can't you be creative?
We can be.
This is too passive.
No,
on
we
both
should
your
be.
parts.
We should
So
be. I
tell me.
agree with
Okay.
you.
So tell me.
So we need to rethink, right, our cities. We need to rethink how we live and how we do things, where we work, how far it is from where we live, where our children go to school. Can our children walk
What
to
about
school?
rethinking the mode of transport?
Rethinking mode
For
of
example,
transport,
this
also
person,
cycles.
Penelosa, the famous mayor of Bogota or something.
Yes.
He said a long time ago, very interesting statement. He said the right of every person is to mobility,
Yeah.
not to public transport.
Not to public transport. Agreed.
Right? And what is mobility?
Yeah. Mobility is being able to get from one place to the other.
So,
right?
what are the choices?
Choices
The
are
problem
I
with
walk,
Shahbaz Sharif's metro is he didn't consider the choice, he just built the metro.
Yeah.
So let's consider the choices. Fizza, what is your choice for
Okay,
mobility?
I disagree with you
Okay,
on
fair
so
enough.
many levels right now that
Okay.
public transport is something that we don't need or what? It's not a basic necessity? That's what you're getting
As I
at?
said, the necessity or your right is to mobility, not public transport.
What does public transport allow me to do? To
Take,
move.
take one choice for mobility.
To move. Okay, so since I've personally used public transport in a foreign country, I've lived there. So like Beijing and Shanghai are huge cities. So when you say that the distances are so large, I cannot walk there, well, you're not supposed to walk
Yeah,
there.
but over there you're required to only walk to the station or to walk to the bus stop. So
And
you
the
you tell me-
stations
can
are
you
very
tell me-
close to each other. And if I need to go from where I live, since I'm a student, I cannot afford accommodation in the city center. So I can only afford it on the outskirts. So if I need to go to the city center, do you think I'm supposed to walk there or ride a bicycle there? Do you know how far it is from the city center? So public transport is cheap, convenient. It's
All right,
user-friendly, let's say.
Hang on. Let's just reverse that a little bit. So when you were living in Shanghai,
Yeah.
how much did you have to travel every day?
a lot, even from my...
Give us a number, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers?
Well, in one day, I had to travel around 25 kilometers.
25 kilometers,
Yes.
both ways, right? So 12 kilometers, 12 and a
The
half
school,
kilometers
the
going and
school
12
was the school was around 7 kilometers from where I lived.
7 kilometers.
And then my work was around I think 18, 19 kilometers from
From?
where I lived. From where I lived,
Okay.
and that's one way. And then you have to come back. So do you think I need to buy a car there? If there is a good, cheap public transport available that is also well coordinated, timely, and everything, it's easy for everybody.
Doc was referring to me and saying, you talk about innovation. So today we had a visitor at LUMS. So he's the VC designate going to one of the universities, the Khuzdar University, and it's an engineering university. So we were having a conversation. So he said, what is the one thing that you would want us to develop? And I said, an electrical bike. So a hybrid, a cycle that I can use, that I can cycle, and when I get tired, I can actually switch to the electrical mode and there's a motor. And it's hybrid. So because I'm cycling, I'm charging the battery also. Now imagine if you had 500 of those parked in Lahore at different places. Right? Would getting around the city be difficult?
But Faisal, this is exactly what New York, Washington, London, Chicago, they have it.
Yeah, yeah.
They have these electric bikes all over the place. People take them all over the place. And it's a business. In fact, Citibank
I know.
financial bikes in New York.
Yeah.
And Uber is now setting up a huge facility
Absolutely.
to start electric bikes in cities.
Yeah.
So I would just argue with Fizza.
I dare you.
There's no arguing with
young in years, but let's just question a little bit the entitlement to public transport. Fizza, you could easily have an electric bike and do
I did have an electrical bike, in fact.
And you can do 12 kilometers in maybe half an hour, less than you do public transport, right? Secondly, you could do your 17 kilometers in another half an hour, and you could also get a good workout. You could be fit.
In the city,
Isn't that a better situation?
I did have an electrical bike. I had it. Then what happened? The traffic there is so crazy. If I'm not wearing a helmet, I am suicidal going on a bike like that. And
you shouldn't be allowed on a bike without a helmet.
But over there, like everywhere, it's
you shouldn't
fine.
be allowed on a bike without.
On electrical bikes, it actually is not a law, at least over there. It's not a law to wear a helmet with an electrical bike.
So, okay, you got an electric bike.
So, listen, and the road network, it's so complicated. And for me, who doesn't know how to navigate.
So, we've got to come to an important point, that there should be space for bikes.
Yes.
Right, that's all.
Over there is a space.
But I want to bring you back to something that's very important. Because you talked about public transport as if it is your right to have a public transport.
It is my right to have a public transport.
And all I'm saying is, we can equally well provide a bicycle for hire for you.
Yeah, the city
which
government
would be
could
a
do it.
business which somebody like a young kid like you can finance, own, etc. Develop an app so that you can have the bike and you can bike to work, drop it off there, and then come back, bike to work. And that could be equally convenient. So why do we have?
I did that in China too.
Okay,
I have done all of these things.
So okay, fair enough. Now let's get.
So that's why I can tell you I need public transport.
Now let's get back to this. So mobility. What is mobility? Mobility is, for a start, first thing is walking.
Yeah.
Most important thing is walking.
The easiest.
Right. After that, what comes after walking?
Running, I'm assuming.
Running. Okay. After that, what comes?
But walking
cycling?
and running is the
I
same
know,
thing. You're doing it on your own.
Cycling, right?
Cycling,
Yeah.
I have a friend in Islamabad who actually jogs to work every day, 7 kilometers one way and 7 kilometers back, right? Now, can be done. It's done all the time. I have friends in Washington who bike 15 to 20 kilometers each way every day, morning and evening. It can be done. But the third most cheapest form
New
of
York,
transport.
you see a lot of kids, not kids, people, even going to Wall Street.
Yeah.
They do it on rollerblades.
The rollerblade, by the way, the new thing is also they've got electric skateboards.
Yeah, skateboards.
Electric skateboards are all over the place now. DC just ordered 50,000 and some people are saying that's too little, order more, right?
Yeah.
So electric skate, again to rent, are available. So your choice
We
is
really
for
need to
transport.
free up our cities.
Right.
We need to free up spaces.
But the third most interesting, most cheapest form of transport is very interesting. Can you guess that?
Subway.
Third cheapest.
Third
First is bicycle,
walking, bicycle.
walking or running, a bicycle.
Yeah.
Third, what is the third?
Third has got to be a bus. Third has got to be...
No.
Subway has to be Subway.
Third is the elevator.
Ah,
Oh my God.
Elevator is a form of
you have to come up with something totally out of left field.
Think about it. If you were living on the you were living on the 50th floor,
Sure.
Fizza was living on the 45th floor, I was living on the 20th.
Sure.
You could visit us on an elevator.
But-
You don't have to go anywhere.
What
And if you have a
is-
grocery store
Absolutely.
downstairs,
I
you
agree
don't have
with
to go
you. I
anywhere.
agree with you.
And if your office is on the 15th floor,
I
you don't have to go to the
concede.
building, right? So, but
this is why I don't think we missed him that much when he says things like
No, but we...
but you know, we've killed the third form of transport.
Yeah.
Now the
So I can actually take the elevator to work.
Right.
I can take it to the restaurant.
I can take it to Islamabad right
visit
now.
somebody.
You can do it,
I
absolutely.
can go buy my groceries through the
I'll
elevator.
tell you another thing on elevators, but I'll leave that alone. We'll talk about it some other day. The third thing is public transport is also important. Yes, I agree you should have public. But you know what the definition of public transport is?
Tell
I've
us.
heard that one from you. So it's what you use between walking.
I love how he just asks a question
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
expects an answer, yet he doesn't really want an answer because
That's
he
what
knows
an
the
economist
answer.
does. They only ask you questions.
That they can.
So
They
why don't
rarely
you just
have
answer this
solutions.
question
So the
for
point
us?
is, it is, as Faisal said, something you do between walks. Now, if you can't walk to public transport, what's the point of having public transport?
Of course, you have to walk to a certain distance. Even if you're sitting in your own home, you need to get the remote control from the coffee table. You need to walk to it.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. So now coming back to this our streets, the important thing that I like, which is why I reacted to the DC,
Yeah.
and we had a long conversation lasting over 2 days with various people jumping in, and so, which is the fun of Twitter.
Absolutely.
And then I said, look, why can't you, and think about it, instead of breaking down those shops, solution is very simple, which is applied everywhere in the world,
Yeah.
which is have a parking charge for a start.
Yeah.
If, you know,
people-
if a
There's a
lovely
parking
lady
meter.
wants to come and get her hair done,
Yeah. Yeah.
she spends some time in the parlor,
Yeah.
right? Fair enough, legitimate activity. You can do that for an hour or two. Why don't you pay for it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Simple. So you pay 100 rupees an hour, get your hair done, 200
But then you
rupees,
have
that's fine.
Le Parc here in Lahore, and they do charge you everywhere. So you cannot park anywhere on the roads now without being charged. The charge may be very low, but
50 rupees usually,
Yeah,
yes.
50 rupees or whatever. So there is the city government is charging
Yeah,
people
but there's
for
a
parking.
big problem with
It's only in Lahore. In Rawalpindi, at least the places that I've been to, there is no parking fee. Everybody parks wherever. They block this other car, or they leave somebody inside the car who can move the car later on.
So, what do you
It's a
think
huge
of
issue.
in London, right? Ken Livingstone, the mayor, who's known as Red Ken because he was socialist in terms of inclination. So he introduced congestion, right, charges. So if you wanted to bring your car if you lived outside of London and you wanted to bring your car into London, you had to pay for it, right? You couldn't just bring your car. Even parking was extra that you had to pay for. But just for the privilege of bringing your car, because they wanted to encourage people not to bring their car, to use more public transport, right? So that kind of thing.
But lots of cities have done that.
Yeah.
Singapore was the first city to do it.
Yeah, that is
This
true.
came out of the writings of a famous economist called Vickery,
Right.
who recommended it.
Yeah.
And then Singapore picked it up. Lee Kuan Yew is always advanced ahead of other people.
Yeah.
He picked it up first. Then Dubai picked it up. Then London picked it up.
Yeah.
Now Stockholm has picked it up.
Yeah.
New York is considering it.
Yeah.
And other people are considering it. Many others. Paris is considering it.
Yeah.
The issue is really that roads are public property. Roads are owned by all of us.
Yes.
Now, if I'm going to take up some of the road, I have to rent it from you.
True.
Right? If we start treating
Yeah.
the road as public property
Yeah.
and somebody has to rent it,
Yeah.
then the road has to be rejuvenated every 5 to 10 years or something. You have to put a new coat on
Yeah.
it. Somebody has to pay for it. Right
Yeah.
now, it is paid for through the taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
A city can
Through the
collect-
road tax, right? The car owner is actually paying for the
It doesn't
road.
cover it. It doesn't cover
Yeah,
it.
it
It's a
doesn't
very
cover
small
it in
tax,
total.
right?
Yeah.
But for example, again, if the tax that you pay is the same that I pay, right? We pay the same tax. Now think about it. If I'm driving my car around 24 hours a day because I've got some business that I need it for, and you drive it only twice a day,
Yeah. Why
I'm
should
getting
we be-
subsidized.
Absolutely.
I'm getting subsidized,
Yes.
right? So the question is, why don't we price the road
You know,
properly?
that's why I stay clear of economists. They're going to exploit you at every little opportunity.
Not exploiting you. I'm helping you here.
It's calculating everything.
Yeah, of
No,
course.
you know what he's saying. Like I partially agree with you. I would say you're
Oh, finally,
saying
we've got agreement. Okay.
partial
I'm
agreement.
Fair enough.
Please don't ignore that word. So when you're saying that we need to be more innovative with
Yeah.
our mode of transport, fine. Like in a foreign country, like let's say over there, I could easily do it because there's a proper road culture there. As you said, a road is a public property. But in Pakistan, unfortunately, even in the most developed cities that we do have, the road culture is so rash and rude. And I cannot even imagine myself getting
Okay, let
on a
me answer this
bicycle.
one with a very simple. I love the movies, right? So my analogies are going to come from the movies. So Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come, right? If you plan your roads better, if you plan your cities better, people will learn how to exist within them. We assume too much and saying they will not be able to do. They do always do it right.
So,
when-
Faisal, there's a problem here. To begin with, we have subsidized the car so much. Right now, Shahbaz Sharif has been building signal-free
corridors
and we've got
protected
the
U-turns
Mall
and all
Road
this.
is wider than any road in the world.
Yeah.
Sorry, the
Canal
Gulberg
Road,
Main,
the-
Gulberg Main Boulevard.
Yeah, Main
It's
Boulevard
huge,
also.
right?
Yeah.
Canal Road is very wide.
Yeah.
We've been widening our roads.
Yeah.
The road widening is a subsidy to the car.
At the
Remember
expense
that.
of trees, I
It's
may add.
at the expense of, but it's a subsidy to the car,
Yeah.
right? Even the metro was put on the second floor because we wanted to make sure that the car owner could drive freely,
Yeah.
right? So we are subsidizing the cars. That's the reason why we don't have bicycle lanes. If we price the car, we would have bicycle lanes.
Yeah.
Right?
We would.
If we have bicycle lanes,
Okay,
then we
let's
can
continue
do this.
this conversation after the break.
Okay.
Because we have to take a break now.
Sure.
So I'll see you guys after a break. Brew yourself a good cup of coffee and come back. Welcome back after the break to the coffee table. I hope you have roasted the beans good enough, because that's what's about to happen to Dr. Nadeem Haque here, because I have a very important question to ask him after the discussion. After the discussion that we had before the break, I had the feeling, I don't know, Faisal, Sherjan, if you had it too, that he has something against public transport. He's talking about more cars on the streets. He's talking about the lack of innovation in public mobility. So let's just ask him straight up. What do you have, as a development economist, why are you against public transport so much? Why don't you want us to have that convenience?
Because it's like coddling children. It's like making spoiled children. We have to be responsible people and figure out things for ourselves. As Faisal says, be a little innovative. Why should you have a bus or something waiting outside for you? We'll give you electric cycles, electric skateboards, all kinds of new innovations that you can use, plus live in big buildings and have grocery stores downstairs, have your work downstairs, everything. Look, cities are interesting when they have different things.
I wonder
you have
if you...
your food
Now we're going into a totally different direction.
I wonder
The
if you
question
ever
here was
used a public transport.
public transport or no public transport. Your argument was it is not an entitlement, right? Mobility, there are options, right? So the city should provide you with options, which means the city should provide you with planning in a manner that you do not have to rely either on a car or on a motorcycle or necessarily on mass transit. That's the argument.
Very good point.
We're going to come back to this.
Exactly.
I think we need to have...
We have to have another show on this.
Yeah, we have to have another show on this.
Yeah, I need to set you straight about the public transport. You call me entitled to it. Yes, I am entitled to it as a citizen of Pakistan.
I thought we were going to drop this here and we are going to baste him and roast him on another day.
I knew she's entitled.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Coming from Islamabad, what do you expect?
What do you expect?
Okay, so recently, I think just 2 days ago, Imran Khan just opened the corridor, the Kartarpur corridor, for the Sikh pilgrims coming from India to the Gurdwara, Baba Guru Nanak's Gurdwara, yes?
Yeah, Baba Guru Nanak's.
I have actually been there, and it's so beautiful. I'll talk about my experience afterwards. So how do you think that this is going to be, how this is going to look like for Pakistan and India?
We've taken too long to do it. Quite frankly, tourism, right, is a big opportunity for us. We have some of the oldest cities, we have some of the oldest civilizations. We have this land, the Indus Valley, right, is a land where empires met, where cultures met, where different people from different parts of the world came, religions met over here. So you've got Hinduism, you've got Buddhism, you've got Sikhism, and you've got Islam, right? So if you combine all these and you look at the opportunities, we've got cities, we've got monuments, we've got all kinds of things, and people would want to visit them. We've just closed ourselves up, and this is a monumental, I think, occasion. And we should build on it faster, and we should build on it more effectively, and we should increase our capacity to take in more tourists, right? So not just the mountains are there, they're beautiful, we've got a big coastline, we can do a lot of things over there. But
so you're automatically assuming that these Sikh pilgrims who will come to...
Not just Sikhs, why just Sikhs? We've started there, right? But Kathasraj is there are the Hindu temples.
But why
also.
would they come here for tourism as well? Won't
they
they just
would love
come
to
here
because
and
they have a connection to this land. So when I have a connection to a land, I will go there.
What kind of connection are we talking about?
Their forefathers were from here, right? Some of them are buried here. So why would I not want to visit? Dr. Nadeem, I mean abroad, at least I have run into people. I remember one particular case, the gentleman called Harinder Singh Lamba, right? And he actually grew up in Fiji, but his family was from Lahore. So when I met him, and he was working with Price Waterhouse, so I met him, and all he wanted to know was about Lahore. And incidentally, his family used to live where Zaman Park is today. His great-grandfather was a judge or something. So there is a connection, and that connection should be allowed.
Faisal, I've lived in 2 countries that are built on tourism.
Yeah.
One is Egypt, the other is Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And they used to feel that they have everything in the world and tourists must come there, etc. I remember telling them once or twice when I got very frustrated that there are hundreds of destinations in the world. Sri Lanka thought they have very good coastline, very good tropical stuff, etc. So I said, look, coastline is cheap in the world.
Sure. Yes,
There's
it is.
lots of coastline in the
That's
world.
true.
Lots of tropical paradises in the world.
That's true.
Lots of history in the world. Lots of various things in the world. The problem is the tourist wants an experience.
Yeah. True.
He's not going to see one side. He wants a full, complete experience.
Yes.
Sri Lanka doesn't do that well. Egypt comes close.
Yes.
Egypt actually gives you a tour.
I actually went there in April and it was quite an experience.
The other thing is, Egypt, for example, I used to tell them all the time that you are very lucky. Their forefathers left them so much that they will never run out.
Yeah, but
They've got
the interesting
huge
thing is-
amount.
They recently discovered 3 more mummies.
3 more.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that they didn't build palaces. They either built
The
tombs,
pyramids.
they either built tombs, which are the pyramids, and there are other necropolis.
But still, Egypt,
Plus, they built temples to the gods. That's all.
but still the numbers are very interesting.
Yeah, the numbers are.
I think Egypt gets about, if I remember right, now it must be a little more, used to get about $12 billion in tourism.
Yeah.
Right? Now maybe a little more.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka used to get very little. Number of tourists were different. For example, the country that is doing much better on tourism than both Egypt and Sri Lanka is Turkey,
Yes.
which gets about 20 million
True,
tourists
true,
a year,
true.
right? And a huge amount of money.
Yeah, true.
But the country that does the best on tourism is also interesting.
Yeah.
Is London.
Yes.
Gets 80
it
million
is.
tourists a year.
It is.
Paris gets about 60, 70 million tourists a year, right? So therein lies a story that history everybody has. But it's a question of what you do with the
But
history,
you gotta
how do you use it?
Absolutely. You got to
Right?
package it, right? So Lahore, right, has, let's say, a lot of potential, but you got to package it right.
So what do you,
Like
what do you offer me now?
Wait, moving-
Okay.
Let me ask you a
I'll tell you
simple
what I-
question.
I'll
Let
tell you
me
what I offer you.
put myself in the position of Harinder Singh Lamba.
Yeah.
And ask you, okay, now I've seen Zaman Park.
Yes.
Which is basically
That's just
nothing
one
like
part.
what I remember.
That's just
Basically
one
nothing.
part of it.
So,
That's
okay.
just one
So
part
what
of
are you going to show him
So
now?
Lahore, the old city, Lahore, the new city, Lahore with its gardens, right? The Shalimar Garden. It's a package that you
That
have
will
to
not
offer.
even last me 4 hours.
Oh, hang on. I mean, you jump.
Let him talk.
You're always. Here's a guy who's against public transport, but he loves to climb into a running bus. He doesn't wait for it to stop.
Okay, go ahead.
So culinary, right, is a great experience. The Lahore culinary experience is a great experience. I can at least package that for you on a whole evening, right? I could do it over a couple of days. I could get you out in the morning, right, for a Lahori experience. I could take you out in the night, right, for an experience. I need to create more things. I need to create a guide to the city, right, where you find things also. You discover things.
No, excuse me, there's
Yeah.
another thing you need.
I want to move on from this tourist
Yeah.
discussion because this is why are we automatically assuming that whoever comes to Baba Guru Nanak's Gurdwara is going to automatically
No,
do it?
it's not just about
I just want to
Gurdwara.
talk about that in a current scenario where there's so much potential for religious extremism. I think Pakistan has showed a really good soft image that, look, we are not religiously extreme. We are tolerant
That's
towards
exactly
all the...
what I'm trying to drive at. The doc is talking about something else, right? He's talking about an environment, right? Whether it's a coastline or whether it's monuments or
So we're
whatever.
giving them a safe
So
environment.
we are talking about, when we say that a soft image or a soft experience, we're inviting people in. The Buddhists would love to visit. The Japanese would love to visit Pakistan and go into the north. You know, Swat has a lot to offer them. Not just the beautiful.
Even in Taxila, there's a
yeah.
lot of...
I fully
mixed
accept.
history.
It's a good thing to allow the Sikhs in. Fine. Great. No problem. Bring the Japanese and whoever.
Yeah.
But that's fine. That is not building serious tourism. There will be some, yes, of course. There will be
Okay,
some
how would you do
earnings.
it?
But if we want serious...
He's holding back, right?
Do you really want to ask him?
Yeah,
why?
yeah, I want to
He'll
ask
say,
him.
shut the public transport system down, let them walk to the...
If we want serious tourism, we have to develop a few things. First of all, we definitely have to develop a tolerant society.
Okay,
right?
yes.
Because quite frankly, if women come in and they want to dress in skirts or whatever, we should be tolerant enough to let them do what they like and not necessarily. And I won't go elsewhere, for example. I think, quite frankly, let's put it on the table too. I think alcohol is a very important part of tourism. We should think about that too.
Is it?
You can't. Most countries that have tourism have a much more tolerant,
Because when
setup.
they want to come for a holiday, they just want to loosen up and
Yeah,
everything. And
yeah.
alcohol
So
in
let's-
those
let's look at it
cultures
parallel.
helps
Now,
them.
second thing.
So Turkey is a parallel,
Yeah.
right? Turkey is a parallel.
Yeah.
It's a Muslim country.
Yeah.
Erdogan is considered to be, right, a very devout Muslim, right of center,
Yeah.
right? But Turkey gives you an experience, right, which is holistic. Malaysia does the same.
Malaysia does the same.
Very
Egypt does the same.
tolerant,
Egypt does the same.
yeah, Egypt
So they allow everything. They are a tolerant place.
So let's look at it. Dubai does the same.
Dubai does the
Dubai
same.
does the
Every
same.
country
Dubai
does the same
yes.
except us. Now, second thing.
Morocco.
Everywhere. No,
Morocco as
only
well.
2 countries ban alcohol. Saudi Arabia and us, and maybe Tehran, Iran. But let me ask you this other thing. For tourists, we also have to have infrastructure. For
Yes.
example, hotels.
True.
Lahore just has 2 hotels.
More than that.
The rest makeshift. The rest are
Maybe the
makeshift.
ones that he would stay at.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
no,
5-star hotels.
You
there are
would
2.
stay at a
Listen, now
5-star hotel.
Airbnb is there.
Airbnb is there, but fair enough. Just let me go through it. We have seriously not allowed a hotel stock to take off.
Yeah, that's true. So,
Right? The 2 hotels that we have are built in Ayyub's time. The other hotels that have come up, yes, there are a few in Gulbarga. There are 3-star, 2-star hotels that people have kind of converted houses into hotels.
yeah, they used to be houses.
Purpose
There's
built.
another thing now called couch surfing. So it's not just Airbnb and hotels anymore.
You're absolutely right. But don't forget, there are 2 things. There are another thing that we have to. Now, I'm an economist, I have to talk like that. right?
Yeah.
Very simple. I have to talk of yield per tourist.
Absolutely. I was going to come
you,
to that.
You get the sofa.
Being a non-economist, but wanting to
You
see where
get
entrepreneurship
sofa
lies.
tourists. Guess what you're going to get from them?
Yeah, yeah.
$5 a tourist.
Absolutely.
No, nothing.
So,
Couch surfing is free. It's an app for all the young people, poor young people like me, who would love to travel, but they cannot afford 5-star hotels like you can, most probably.
But that's a point, Fizza. You see, when I'm thinking like an economist for policy,
Yeah, he's talking
I
about
want yield per tourist.
Yeah.
People like you may come in, but they're not my target. Right? So my target is people like Faisal who can loosen up their wallet.
I thought you would be mean just to him.
And
Why?
I did, and I was in Sri Lanka. I did this once or twice. I went to the hotel manager in a
Yeah.
big hotel in Sri Lanka. I put $1,000 on the table, and I asked him. I said, "Okay, here's $1,000. Short of beating me, how are you going to take this money from me?"
Yes.
What I was trying to tell
You're
them that you have to have
contradicting-
ways of taking
Yeah,
money
yeah,
from me.
absolutely.
Simple.
You're contradicting your own statement.
Yeah.
Earlier, Faisal, Sherjan backed me. Let's team up against.
Go
I
ahead,
would love
okay.
to
All right.
for that.
Go
to happen.
ahead.
Before he just said that tourism is an experience. You're looking for an experience. You're
That's
not
exactly, he's still saying the same in a
No.
different way.
Now that I am, as I said, I'm a poor young person who wants to travel but cannot afford more than a plane
Okay,
ticket.
how much can you afford? $200 in total?
I guess
For a
maybe
5-day
even-
tour?
Maybe even less than that.
Maybe even less than
Let's
that.
see.
Stay away.
So, let me.
You lost him too.
No, listen. You guys have bank accounts.
Because
who can
you're not
talk
worth
like
the
this.
cost.
No, listen.
mean-
I'm a tourist. I need equal respect as
You're
a
not a
tourist who's
tourist.
coming
You'll
in with
consume our roads.
$500,000.
You'll consume our roads more than the money that you have.
Yeah.
But I'm
You're a
coming for
tourist
an
we lose money on.
experience.
We don't want you.
I'm coming for an experience, and as a young person like me, I will
You'll
take
get the experience
photos.
for $200. Worth $200 only.
Will you let me finish? So I'll take photos, I'll make videos of my experience. I'll promote, let's say I'm from somewhere else and I'm coming to Pakistan. I'll promote Pakistan, I'll share my experiences that I've
Don't
couch
try and
surfed
sell
in this
that
place.
story on this coffee table. Sell it elsewhere.
But you see, there's another problem.
No, I'm going to ask all of you guys, am I not speaking the right thing
No,
here?
I'll
Like
tell you what's-
these
I'll-
two won't understand
I'll tell
me.
you
I am
what's wrong with
traveling,
your-
I am being a tourist for experience,
I'll
not
tell you
just to
what's wrong
spend
with
my
your.
money.
I'll tell you what's wrong with your strategy. You see, you're going to appeal to your cohort, the $200 tourists. We want to discourage those guys. We want to have the
Why?
$5,000 tourists.
Okay, I'm going to ask something really controversial.
Yeah,
Now
go
people are going to hate me instead of hating you.
Yeah.
What has Pakistan to offer?
A lot.
Tell me.
Now you're on my side. Now I'm with you.
No. Let's say...
He's on nobody's side. In
No,
this.
let's say I'm a devout Hindu, right? And I've heard from my father or from my grandfather who lived in Chakwal, right? And they lived within close proximity of the Kathasraj temple. And I want to go and see it, right? I want to go and experience what they had experienced themselves. You know, I've heard so much about the pond at Kathasraj.
empty now.
I've heard about lots of things about
And
it.
you'll pay $1,000 to go there?
I
Really?
will pay $1,000 to
Okay,
go there.
fair
I'll
enough.
save and
Then that's fine.
pay $1,000.
Then that's
to
fine.
go
It
there.
doesn't make sense.
I have to create, like you keep saying, the experience. If the pond is empty, we need to fill the pond up.
You know how the pond
Last
got
time I
empty?
went there, it was pretty full.
Yeah, me too. But recently, like, let's suppose if this is the depth of it, there's
Yeah.
just this much water now. Do you know why? Well, it's another conversation.
Yeah,
so.
I know it's another conversation
Yeah.
because there has been a lot of interest in it.
You would never spend 1,000. Okay.
Why are you assuming I won't? I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Karan Johar's father, he was terminally ill, right? And one of his on his bucket list was a visit back to Lahore because he grew up in Lahore. As a child, he wanted to come back to where he grew up as a child.
Do you know how many zeros there are in his bank account?
No, there may be lots of zeros. What I'm telling you is, now he may have come and spent $5,000 or $10,000 on that one visit. What I'm saying is everybody's going to find their own equilibrium.
But if you want yield per tourist, you have to attract those kinds of guys.
Yeah.
Because remember, we want to build a tourist industry. What our Prime Minister, Imran Khan, wants to do is increase the yield per tourist so that he can have more money for development.
That is
And
my
if he wants
question.
to
What
do
is
that-
Pakistan offering that is worth so much
Okay, I'll
money
tell you what
from a
is offering.
tourist?
For example, the mountains. The mountains are beautiful, lots of good stuff.
There's
but
already so
sorry,
much tourist
no, but
happening
there's-
there, tourism
but
happening
there's a
there.
big
No,
problem.
there isn't.
There's a
Not
big
enough.
problem. No, sorry, there's a big problem in the mountains, Faisal. The point is, we are again building the wrong kind of tourism.
Yeah.
We have to make up our minds how much local tourism
Yeah.
do we want, how much foreign tourism do we want.
The mix has to be right.
Second thing, which is very important in the mountains, as far as I'm concerned, the biggest thing in the mountains is we should stop plotting the mountains.
Yeah.
This
absolutely.
business of you owning your own house in Nathagali or
You shouldn't-
Kalam or
shouldn't
something,
be
that
there.
business should stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of that range should be national park.
Yeah.
And you should have organized tourism, which means you should have serious camps and you rent the place. You don't own the place.
Yeah,
So that you don't build this horrible Lahore-style house in the middle of the hills.
Horrible Lahore style. He does. He lives in Lahore. He's grown up in Lahore and he hates this.
No, I'm saying in the hills.
Okay.
I'm saying in the hills.
All right.
It's
You're just
incongruous.
ungrateful, I would
It's incongruous to build that kind of a house in the hills. In the hills, it should be light mountain cabin.
My question still remains.
So now the
there
thing
is
is-
no alcohol here.
That's a
There
big problem.
is
I agree. I pointed that
There
out.
is no proper...
I have a totally different view of it. And I say, no, foreigners are actually allowed their alcohol if they're staying in a
only in the
hotel.
diplomatic conflict.
No. What are you talking about? Hotels?
No.
Foreigners are allowed.
Foreigners are allowed, but you have to see how it's done.
Okay, that's a different issue.
They have to record so many forms.
That's a
they
different
have
issue.
to.
So
They have
make it
to,
easier for them.
No,
if
you
they
have
have to. If they want.
And besides, they are not served. They're just given a bottle. You
Who-
have
okay,
to make
so
it
listen.
a pleasant tourist experience. If
Who wants to
Warren
come
Buffett
to
comes
another
here,
country and drink in a hotel room?
what I'm saying is at a restaurant, not in a hotel room. At a restaurant, simple. You have to make it convenient,
Won't they
right?
fear to be judged by
Well,
other people?
that's the issue that I'm saying we
So-
have to deal with. We have to build a tolerant culture. Egyptians, for example, had
Yeah.
that. They were Turkish, very tolerant. They let you do whatever you like. Even in Ramadan, you can do whatever you like. They don't stop you. The point is very simple. That's one side of tourism.
Yeah.
But the other side is also to make it a comfortable experience.
Yeah, it has to be. a
You have to
comfortable
have nice
experience.
hotels. You have to have nice things, especially if you want the upper class. Nice restaurants, everything. You have to.
Well, at least
make
we
it-
have good transportation intercity now. Buses.
Do we?
Right? Yeah.
Only in Lahore, in
No,
Rawalpindi?
intercity buses.
In Rawalpindi,
If
there
I
are
have to go from Lahore to Swat,
intercity.
yeah, I can
That
take
you
a very, I can take a very
okay,
decent bus.
question number 2. Do we have quality museums? Do we have quality libraries that would attract, or do we have quality theatre clubs with good dramas?
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
Unfortunately.
So we need
have
to build
museums.
capacity.
So
we
you're
have
not even-
museums, but they have not been redesigned or redeveloped since the British days. They are still pretty much the same. Texla is lovely, Lahore is lovely,
Yeah.
Peshawar is lovely. But those museums have really not been rejuvenated. And the second thing that we lack, which is very important, is we have very few people who are curators, not only of museums, but of events.
Yeah.
We need much more curation of events and museums to make a tourist industry. Because when a tourist, for example, what I said to you about Sri Lanka about putting $1,000, let me ask you a simple question. If you go to Las Vegas or Disneyland or something, you lose money like anything because
I
they've
need to
got
get
it
you-
figured out.
I need to get you out to Dastan Goi at the Lahore Fort.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
You haven't been there, right?
No.
So that's a very, very interesting experience, right? It's storytelling, traditional storytelling,
Okay.
but in a setting which is very interesting, right? Plus they serve a decent meal. So it's a completely packaged 2.5 hours.
Good,
Right? Which is very, very interesting.
But
so we need to do more
We
of
need
those.
to have many more of
Yeah,
those
we
things,
need to
right?
have many more
And
of
we need to have curators who are constantly updating
That's
them.
true.
That we don't have.
Question
For
number
example,
3.
the-
Question number 3. As a tourist, personally, I've been a tourist. When I need to go somewhere, I just Google up the most interesting places to
Yeah.
see, and then I just open up a map, and there's a public transport system that takes me to that place
We're back to
with,
that.
with a lot of convenience. Do we have that convenience in Pakistan to offer these tourists?
The
Depends on
tourists-
who you want. If you want the poor tourist, you have to have that.
No, listen,
But
if-
the tourist that I am looking for,
There's no
we'll
market for
provide him a
him here.
limousine. We'll provide him, him or her a limousine,
Listen,
the
you
family,
go-
and they
okay,
go.
You
when
cannot
I-
just throw in a
hang on.
limousine in
When I go to
this.
Bangkok, right, what do I use?
What do you use?
Have you heard of the tuk-tuk?
Yeah.
Tuk-tuk, yes.
Right? So why can't they use it here? There are 200,000 rickshaws on the roads of Lahore.
Can
I
you-
went to Quetta, and the easiest way to get around was in a rickshaw.
Would you use a tuk-tuk here?
I did, just yesterday and day before, in
Really?
Quetta.
And how was the experience?
Beautiful. I love that.
But Faisal, in most good cities, I don't even like to take any form of transport. I like to walk.
Yeah, yeah.
You take London, Paris, Istanbul, etc. Hey,
Yeah, you walk.
walking is so much fun. You see more, you get more done. You know,
If you
otherwise
actually stay at, let's say, any of the hotels on the mall, right, the Avari or the Filetis or, you know, the new ones, you can actually walk to the old city. You can actually walk to the old city, and it'll be an interesting walk.
No, but it's our failing.
Yeah.
Why haven't we built more hotels around
Around that, we should have.
I'm not saying break up the walled city,
yeah.
but around the walled city,
Yeah.
there's a lot of room
Absolutely.
that we can actually convert into something nice, even preserving that architecture,
Yeah.
preserving that place. They're all over Istanbul. Why can't we do something like that? This is the failure
I mean, you
of
have
our
the
planning
second
and
largest
thinking.
salt mines in the world.
yeah.
Kira.
And we made a mess of it. I mean, I've been there more than once. It's a great place. It's a sanatorium,
Yeah.
right, for people who have respiratory problems.
Right.
We haven't
Okay,
used
so, okay, question number 4. Well, after hearing all of these arguments, I'm thinking, and also when my friends ask me, when my foreign friends ask me if they can come to Pakistan, the number one question they have is it secure enough? So have we given them a good, secure environment
No, we need to
come to
we need to
Pakistan?
do a better job of making Pakistan more inviting, right? So we know there isn't that big issue. There isn't in reality. The world is probably as safe or unsafe as Pakistan.
So we
is,
need to work on our soft
right? An
image.
incident can happen in London.
In fact, I can tell you the US is far more unsafe than
Yes.
Pakistan right now because these random gunmen are coming out and shooting
Yeah.
up people.
So scary.
I think Pakistan is much safer. Only problem is, yes, we have the terrorism, but that every city
We haven't
has
worked on our
something.
soft
Yeah,
image.
it's a
That is
perception.
the
It's a
problem
perception.
here.
Right, so that perception needs to be altered. So we need to put out an alternative narrative, definitely, for sure.
So, okay, so I just won this argument. You know how? Let me tell you, I outsmarted both of you so easily.
Okay.
No, you have.
So we just like came to this conclusion that we
We're actually
don't.
innocents.
No.
Doc,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just
Let's
have a bad
hear.
reputation.
Let's hear what.
So you haven't.
the victory statement. Let's hear
Yes,
the
let's
victory
hear the
speech.
victory
yeah.
statement.
I need some cheering sounds
yeah.
here. Please edit
Let
them
the
in.
violence play.
So we haven't provided a market for rich tourists to visit Pakistan. We have to work on the soft image. We ourselves are too lazy to work on the soft image. So what we need are young tourists, probably my age group, to come to Pakistan and share their experiences about Pakistan to make
So
it look
innovation-
more inviting.
Okay, so the word innovation rears its head again.
You need $200 tourists to come to
Okay, all right.
Pakistan
We'll bring
first.
the $200 tourist
we've
also.
got
Did I just win? You
we've
need to
got-
say
fair
it, I
enough.
won.
Agreed, you won. The young woman who did that dance in the PIA
Yeah.
plane.
She's adorable.
She's
Yeah,
one
but
of
let me
those.
tell you a better one.
You know what? No, since I've won this argument, we need to take a break.
There is another, okay.
So I'm going to take a break. Since I've won this argument, I'm so happy that we get to take a break after I've won an argument from these two. It's a good day for me. So join us after the break and I'll throw in another topic for them to talk about and they'll probably forget what we were actually talking about. So Faisal, Sherjan.
Age. She's now referring to our age.
Catch you after the break. Welcome back to the coffee table. I'm Fizza Jamal, joined with Faisal Sherjan and Dr. Nadeem Haque. And the last round was won by me. I'm very happy. I'm still happy about it. I'm going to keep smiling.
I didn't know this is a contest.
It's
Did you?
always been a contest. What
Is
are
it?
you talking about?
Let youth win.
A three-way contest.
Let youth win.
Let youth win.
You don't even know me. Everything about me is winning and losing, mostly
God.
winning.
All right.
Because people around me
Competitive.
lose.
So Pakistan is in
Very
safe hands then.
competitive, yeah.
Right.
Okay, go ahead. So what do you?
So the next thing that I wanted to talk about is that the PTI has completed its 100 days and they did a very clever campaign about it. Did you guys see the print campaign they had?
I saw the print campaign. I am totally against teasers, even if it's a page that you bought or a portion of a page that you bought.
What is it
Because
that you're
Now
talking
what's
about?
wrong with
I
it?
don't know that. What is it
the
you're
press
talking about?
campaign,
What is that?
They had like like on one page it said 100 days are completed, and what were we doing? We were busy. And then there was another one that
and
said
says turn the page.
turn the page.
Right.
Another one says turn the page, and you turn it, and there's like big blocks of texts of everything that they've done so far in the 100 days.
But it's actually, it was actually newspaper headlines.
But
right,
Faisal, I
doing-
thought that the information minister Fawad Chaudhry
Yes.
said
Yes.
that they were not going to put any ads out
Yes.
in the media.
Yes.
And I quite frankly feel
Yes.
that that's a good thing. The media,
I agree with you
as
100%.
an economist again,
Yes.
the media is an industry
Yeah.
which should stand on its own feet.
It should.
If the government gives them money for ads, etc., it is subsidizing the media.
Absolutely.
And therefore the media becomes like a tame
It
pet
becomes
or something.
dependent. It
right?
becomes dependent. It
on the
does not
government.
innovate. It becomes stagnant.
So I think the government should put up a website and put all these things on the website so people
Absolutely.
can go and see
Yes.
whatever the government has to say.
I've already
But
been
not-
saying it.
yeah.
I've been saying it in public spaces.
So
and
I think
saying,
this I don't like.
all
Sorry
you
for
need
that.
is tenders.gov.pk.
No,
I like how
something-
you're apologetic. You
Yeah.
should be keep that fear
Yeah,
alive in you.
absolutely.
But let's come
This I
back to
don't.
this 100 days.
So-
Right? So what is it that we were expecting them to do or say, or what were they going to achieve in these 100 days? One can say anything and everything. I can say, what did they said? We had 34 things on our agenda. We've completed 16 of them or 18 of them. 18 of them and
Given the
16
circumstances.
And 16. It's not about circumstances. It's not about why do you have to put yourself up for scrutiny after 100 days? Get on with the job. Keep doing
But
it.
every political party does PR and does want to canvass for
Yeah.
the next election. So it's a canvassing for the next election. That's fine.
Already, it's 4.5 years away. People
Trump
don't have,
started doing it the
people
first
don't
day.
have that long
Trump
a memory.
started doing it the first
The other
day.
thing
So
is,
this is the new
other-
world we live in.
The other thing is, and you would know this, that given our demographics, given our rate of population growth, given our 66%, close to 66%, already below the age of 30,
Poverty line.
right up till 2045, every election is going to be decided by new voters. Just like 2018 was. Right?
Since the government gave us a deadline that watch us do things in 100 days, do you think that proves the mentality of general Pakistani public that we don't think long term, we want short-term results?
This is more of what we would traditionally call a commitment trap. That you made a commitment, right? You said, we're going to make things happen in 90 days, 100 days, and you commit yourself. And then everybody starts asking you questions. And what you said, you're going to do all this in 100 days. My own view is the government should just get on with doing what it needs to do.
Why don't they just promise a bigger picture that later
But let me
we will
ask you,
see this and
what
that?
exactly? I know it was very slick, the presentation yesterday.
Yeah.
The printout was beautifully done by some good kids who had experience of some international consulting firm. It was very nice PowerPoints that they made out, fair enough. The speeches, I hear, were pretty good. But what is it that you would hold up, Fizza? What would you hold up as
As an achievement,
what is the big ticket item in the
I think the
100 days?
biggest ticket item is a government that is actually looking at doing welfare, right?
Exactly.
Doing something for the ordinary person, right? That is actually looking at solutions
Somebody
for
like
the
you?
ordinary
Somebody
person.
like you?
Not me. I'm not an ordinary
You're not an
person.
ordinary
No,
person.
I'm not. I'm a privileged one.
Somebody like Fizza?
She's not
I'm
ordinary
entitled.
either. She's
You're
also
entitled.
entitled. She's
So-
also, we're talking about bottom of the pyramid. We're
So
talking
people
about,
like me.
Oh, no,
not
you stayed
exactly.
5-star hotels.
You're
You
on the
lost that
fringe
right.
of GOR. That's the only claim to
Okay.
fame you have.
So
how many years have
so
you been?
please tell me.
How many
please
years
tell
have you
me-
been knocking
no, we'll
on
come
the
to that
door?
later. Can I ask you a very simple question? What is this welfare state and the ordinary people that you're talking about?
We're talking-
I know these are very emotional statements, but you know, I like to get down to the bottom of the thing.
Okay.
So what is
Let's
it?
talk about education, right? The universal access to education, Article 25A. It's in your constitution. It's
Excuse
in
me.
What does that say?
Excuse
Say
me.
it out for us.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Article 25A,
Yeah.
to my mind, is an irresponsible piece of legislation.
What is Article
How is
25A?
it irresponsible? How is it
Article
irresponsible?
25A says that every kid must go to school.
Every child between age...
I'll tell you how it is irresponsible.
No, it doesn't say that. It says every child between the age of 5 and 16 has the right to free education. Has the right to free
Free
education.
education. It's in the
it also
Whether
says-
the
Constitution.
child goes
also
to
sets
school,
a deadline.
No. Whether it goes to school or not goes to school is a different issue. That's a choice. But I should have the I should have the infrastructure to go to school. I should have a school available to me that I can go to, and I should not be charged. My parents should not have to pay.
Let me tell you why I think it's a frivolous piece of legislation. Because to my mind, as you said, the commitment...
You said irresponsible rather than frivolous.
Okay, irresponsible. Because to my mind, as you said, the commitment trap, every legislation must be a serious commitment.
It has to be.
Now, this has been in place for over 10 years.
No, Article 25A was, I think, 2010.
Okay.
It's 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
So far, and I would have said, in fact, the US does this, before they pass a legislation, it must go through the Congressional Budget Office to see whether it's feasible or not.
It's true.
If it's not feasible, they don't pass it.
Yeah.
And I think our government must do something like that too, because this piece of legislation is totally infeasible. It cannot be done with our resources.
Right? With our resources.
And if either the Parliament should have considered a plan with the legislation, enacted it, and made sure that it's in the budget all the time, or alternatively, you have these
Wait,
things.
you guys are going off topic all over again.
Fair enough.
Let's talk about the 100 days. Do you think, is that a success or a fail?
No, I think it's a success,
I mean,
but it doesn't matter.
has to be a frame of reference and saying, what were we expecting in 100
As you said,
days?
like, it's more like a welfare government. They're taking care of the ordinary
in terms
citizens.
of thought process, we've seen some demonstration of that. Whether it was saying, okay, I'm going to provide...
Please, both of you be specific.
Yeah, okay.
You keep saying success or failure. I don't know what success or failure is in this case. Two, you keep saying welfare, but I still don't know what you mean by welfare.
Right.
I still don't know what you mean by ordinary
empathy.
people.
Okay, let me...
Empathy for who?
Empathy for those who are less privileged, who are marginalized, who've
How
been
can you
exploited.
not relate to the less privileged
Now,
ones?
as an economist, you would know what the word exploitation really means, right? So, if you look at a population of 210 million, how many of those 210
So you're saying
million,
we want to help the poor. Say it plain and simple.
Okay, we want to
you
help
want
the
to
poor.
help the poor.
I don't like the word poor.
Do you know who the poor are?
I don't like to use the word
Okay,
poor.
fair enough, but we need to use something. We need to less privilege. Okay.
I like the ones, I like to use the word that those who are
what
less...
is it that you want to do for the less privileged? What does
Provide
Imran want to do?
opportunity.
How?
Okay, so you want me to define poor for you?
No, I know the definition.
No,
Just tell me
let's just say the less privileged ones are the ones who are homeless, who are sleeping on the footpaths.
There are not too many of those. There are not too many of those. Right? So in Pakistan, no, the number of homeless is not that great. There is a risk that they will.
You see what I mean? We need to get specific.
Like they've set up shelters for all these homeless people, and how can you forget the medical
They're not
cards
just exactly
that
homeless. I'll tell you what the shelters are currently being used
medical
for.
cards that they've given.
Yeah, the Medicard is one.
How is
thing
that
saying,
not
okay,
welfare?
healthcare.
Okay. Now, can you explain to me again? Can you explain to me again what this medical card will do?
It's supposed to provide you access to good healthcare, right?
Free healthcare.
There has to be some money
Capacity
associated.
has to be
5
there.
lakh
Right?
rupees. I think
mean,
it's 5 lakh rupees, right?
You can't give, 5 lakh rupees to how many people?
I
Do
think
we have the budget?
in KPK they have
It's
given
insurance.
this.
It's actually a form of
No,
insurance.
insurance, but insurance has to be backed by assets.
Yeah, it has
Somebody,
to be,
let's say if all the people exercise that option and say, I'm going to use my 5 lakh rupee card. And let's say right now 30%.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen because you know that also. Insurance is probability.
Here's
All
the thing,
I'm
if you
saying
can
is-
widen a road for so much money, you cannot give insurance to these
Has
people.
somebody worked the numbers out?
That is a different question.
Because you see, the point is,
That is
we are
definitely
That's an
passing,
economist
we are
speaking.
passing out.
Yeah, he's right.
We are passing out
For once,
entitlement.
he's absolutely 100% on target.
Can I say something? We are passing out entitlement certificates to people.
Right.
They might encash them. Some of them will encash them.
Yeah, some of them
right?
will encash
And we have to.
Then what do you think of the BISP?
I think that's an important issue. We will discuss that sometime. But I think right now the issue is one, what is welfare?
Yeah.
Two, how.
So these are the.
How do we define
can we put
those
these
people?
down as subjects to
Let's
discuss?
do that because now Faisal, Sherjan, Dr. Nadeem Haque, and all of you, the time is over for the show.
But let me say one thing. The
You still need to say more things.
100 days event was successful.
Now he admits, you could have just said it in the beginning and saved us all this
He
trauma.
knows you don't have time to respond.
Okay, let me just say goodbye to everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the coffee table. Catch us tomorrow again at the same time.